Welcome to Listen Bitch Presents Tell Me Why You're Special. This is the arena where we don't just talk about success, we talk about the moments that force you to become someone new. Because the truth is, most people know something isn't working long before they change it. Whether it's the relationship, the business, the routine, your identity, the belief system. But knowing and acting, those are two very different things because change costs something always comfort, certainty, approval, predictability. And a lot of people stay in lives that they've already outgrown because fine feels so much safer than the unknown. But God did not create people to settle, He created you to shrink. He didn't create to shrink, He created you to survive or, you know, perform a life that no longer fits. That's not the calling for us. Sometimes the greatest act of faith is just telling the truth about what's no longer aligned in our lives, what no longer fits. So today we're going to talk about reinvention, resilience, self trust, leadership, identity shifts, and building a life that actually feels like it belongs to you. Today's guest is Tiffanie Janowitz. She's an entrepreneur, a strategist, and someone who's rebuilt her life multiple times. With new identities, beliefs, and even health challenges that have forced her into a deeper truth. So, Tiffanie, thank you so much for coming into the hot seat. What is a moment in your life where you knew everything was about to change, but like you hadn't even made the decision yet?
So the biggest moment in my life that was like the big catalyst for this, I was actually on a family vacation, and I feel like my big ahas in life always come on a vacation for some reason.
Uh,
And it actually isn't that surprising because we're out of our routine, we're out of our norms, and we're able to dream bigger and just detach from
right.
the day-to-day everything. And my family and I were down in Mexico, and I had had some things in my current partnership at that time that were kind of frustrating me. It was pulling me back into work mode when I was really trying to be present with my family, and I had made it very clear that I was trying, where my intention was supposed to be. Anyways, I just like I felt this aha moment, and I was like, I am meant for something more. Something bigger is coming, and I knew that, but I had no idea what it was. But I looked at my wife and I was like, 1 year from now, our lives are going to be drastically different. I can feel it in my bones. And it was one of those moments where she was like, okay, like I said, it was such conviction, you know?
Yeah.
And truly, there were so many things from that moment that unfolded because I made the space for it. And just like you
Yeah.
said, like God didn't make me to be small and to fit in someone else's container. He made me to thrive and pour myself into others. And that is exactly what happened over the next several years from then. So,
Why do you think, I mean, you had this great epiphany. You had the moment, the aha moment.
yeah.
Um I think a lot of people get that. And I feel like some people sit and they kind of wait for the big event to kind of shift them to change.
Mhm.
But then sometimes I think they're just missing. Like they're missing the messages. Why do you think people stay in situations that they've already outgrown for so long?
So I feel like you nailed it. Like when you were talking about no change comes without risk. And I really think that it's the risk factor with a lot of things behind that make people shut down the moments that are telling them like, hey, this is coming, take this next step, or this is, this inner pull from your inner voice. The self-trust factor is huge. I think that's a
Mm-hmm.
big one that people miss because we're too busy listening to outside opinions or outside
Mm-hmm.
voices to listen to our own, which is should be first and foremost. And so I feel like the risk factor is too much for a lot of
Mm-hmm.
people, but it comes at the risk and the cost of shutting yourself down and shutting that growth down. And that's hard to instill into people. Like, what's it worth to you? And it's something that's often felt. And until someone feels it, then they're not ready to make that
Mm-hmm.
move.
That makes a
Um,
lot of sense. Um, self-betrayal is I mean, it's a powerful word, right? Like you
mhm.
can feel it. Can you explain kind of what that would look like for a listener, like real life in real
Yeah.
time? What does that look like?
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to rewind the clock about 20 years to my little tiny 19-year-old self
Yeah.
that the self-betrayal moment, that was the big catalyst for me and my first chance to listen to my own inner voice, my self-trust. And that was when I was making a big pivot away from the religion that I was raised in. I was also in a marriage that no longer aligned with like my values and where I really knew like what was important to me. And self betrayal for me would have looked like if I would have shut all of that down and stayed in that life that no longer aligned with me,
Mm-hmm.
the things that were no longer serving me, if I would have just quieted those down because it would have been easier to
Mm-hmm.
stay, it would have been way easier. It was
Of course.
hell and back to listen to that voice, but I cannot imagine what the next 20 years would have looked like and then to be in that same container, if
Mm-hmm.
you will, 20 years later. I mean, that's the ultimate act of betrayal, in my opinion.
I see that. You've rebuilt your life multiple times. Um, what is for you, what is the hardest part about starting over?
My younger self would have told you the hardest part of starting over was all of the judgment that came along with
Mm,
that. Because I cared so much, like my tiny little self cared so much what
mm-hmm.
people thought about me and how it would have looked on the outside. My life no longer looked perfect and fill in the blank, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But as I've gotten older and I've learned the value of my own voice and how powerful that is when I'm truly leaning into that, that part of it has quieted down. I don't care if it's in line with someone else's, if they're judging, judge away, you know.
Yeah.
I also think the bigger we grow, the bigger our target is. So the judgment is going to come without fail, you
Yeah.
know. So my tiny self would have said like that's the biggest hurdle. And now I feel like the biggest hurdle is like not taking action fast enough. Like there's
Mm-hmm.
never enough time.
Yeah.
And so continuing to dig deep and find the energy and keep your why at the front of your
Mm-hmm.
mind. Now it's a totally different type of challenge.
Yeah. It's fun how like no matter how far you get in growth or life, like there's we're gonna be challenged forever. The growth
Oh yeah.
game is eternal. It is progression is always, I mean, we'll never make it, right? We're
Mhm.
never going to make it to,
Yeah.
we're never going to get all the answers, never going to reach our full potential. Like it's in
Hmm.
this human capacity. I think this one lifetime, there's no time. But I
Hmm.
love what you were saying about the judgment because I think so many people don't realize like people are talking about you anyway. I don't
Yes.
care who you are, what you do, they're talking shit. If you watch Netflix and you're just chilling all day and you're not doing shit with your life, someone's talking about you. Me,
Hmm.
I'm like, you're wasting your life. Get up. Let's do
Yes.
something, right?
Amen. Amen.
Or, then the people who aren't doing anything are usually the ones who have a lot to say about the people that are.
Hmm.
And so, no matter what people are going to talk, I say give
Yeah.
them something to talk about, you
Yeah.
know? Not
Oh
just,
yeah.
oh yeah, she binged the next series. We can call her and see what's next to watch, right? Like she's got it on lock for us. It's
Totally. And to your point, it's like, well, what are you giving them to talk about? Are you giving them all of this growth and this person who you have had the courage to rewrite over and over and those levels that you've gone up, or are you giving them the subject to talk about the next Netflix series?
exactly. Exactly. And I think some of the biggest catalysts in my life are the people that are like, you shouldn't do that. That's not going
Hmm.
to work out for you. I'm always like,
Yeah.
I'm going to show you.
And
Right.
isn't it
I'm going to show
interesting that
you.
it's oftentimes like those that are close around
Closest.
us?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
And
And
that's hard for a lot of people.
it is crazy. I've known that for a very long time, and I recently, like, this is my third year of reading the Bible. Like, I've just locked in on this relationship with Christ, and I'm like, holy shit, it's in here. It
Yes.
literally says that he doesn't even preach at home, and I'm like,
Yeah.
if he doesn't preach at home, what am I doing trying to get these people? So for so long, Tiffanie, even just like in my growth, like in my marriage, in my house with my kids, I thought I can't be a life coach because my family sucks. Like
Yeah.
they're not buying what I'm selling, so I'm that's it. I'm packing it up. And then,
Hmm.
my gosh, I push through all that and then I get that clarity where he's literally like, I don't even preach at home. And I'm
Hmm.
like, oh, that makes so much sense now. So it is even written in what I now call the guidebook to life. It's in there. Like the
Yes.
people closest to you are going to be the last to accept you and the last to understand what you're doing. And obviously, it's because like the people close to you are you make them uncomfortable because they're seeing what they could have done, right?
Hmm.
They're
Oh
seeing
yeah.
it makes them so uncomfortable because they think, oh my gosh, they start to see that mirror reflection of you didn't do anything and I'm doing something and it hurts. It's a
And that's
process.
where my biggest prayer is, those that are closest to me or that I have been close with in times past
Yeah.
and that has separated us or caused some separation or whatever that may be. That's my biggest prayer is that they hit their breaking point
Yeah.
because we all come to a breaking point that is the catalyst for that
Yes.
piece of change. And I'm like, if my example can make you uncomfortable enough that it gives you a breaking point, then I'm doing my job. Then,
Good.
like, thank you, God, for
Yeah.
pushing me to what that looked like.
Yeah. For sure. And
Hmm.
I realize I just said my family sucks, and I probably shouldn't leave that on that. My family doesn't suck, you guys. They just think that my my stuff is they think I'm full of shit, okay? That's all. That's why I think, they suck, cuz nobody wants the mom advice, no one wants the life lecture. My kids have to go through their own experience. So
Yeah.
nobody's buying what I'm selling in this house, and I get that.
Hmm.
So I don't want you to be like,
But
"God,
what'll be so interesting is like, for me anyways, there's been so many things as I get older,
yeah,
I replay memories like that,
of
where it's
course."
like you couldn't have taught me the memory in that moment, but
No.
it still was instilled in me.
Yeah.
And then later down it surfaced for me. So I guarantee like
Yeah.
even if the messages aren't hitting now, they're resonating deep in their souls. So you're
I
doing it
can't
right still.
I think they're in the kitchen, so I can't even say it out loud, but you're right. It's just like planting seeds. And
Yes.
it's the same thing. Like, I used to be so afraid because I've always been, like, I'm going to read the next book that's going to elevate me. I'm going to do all these things. My husband is not that person. Like, we are polar opposites, and it's beautiful because he keeps me grounded. I'd be
Mhm.
daydreaming in the clouds all day long if it was not for him. He is like
Yeah.
my link to earth. But
Yes.
I used to be scared of, like, what's going to happen to us, because I'm growing and changing, and he's the same. And I mean, I love him exactly who he is. I've never ever ever asked him to change. But the crazy thing is, Tiffanie, is what happens. I turn around every time I grow. I turn around and I'm like, whoa, shit, you're right there.
Yes.
Like, oh shit,
Yes.
you're on my tail. Like, it's just
Ah,
amazing. It's a beautiful
I think
process.
that's
Yeah.
such a beautiful piece because if we are each truly living in our truth, then I had that conversation with a gentleman yesterday. We were talking and he was asking for some advice and I asked him that point blank. I said, "Are you living in your truth?" And he kind of paused and he was like, "Yeah, I am." And I was like, "If that answer is not from like in and out, absolutely yes, then you've
Yeah.
got work to do." And when you are living in your truth, then it is. It's like things line up as they need to. God's going to line them up as they need to, and it just is a really beautiful observation of like truth is really what pans everything
It
out.
is. It is. And it's so much easier. Like, being in the truth and just being who you are. Because
Mhm.
people ask me all the time, how do you do all the things? I have 6 kids. I homeschool. I'm married. We have a million freaking pets.
Mhm.
I run 3 podcast shows. Like, it's a lot. And people are like, how do you do it? And I'm like, well, because I don't have to pretend anywhere. I
Yes.
don't have to go figure
You're
out,
not
like,
backtracking anywhere. You're not like, who did I say
no.
to what?
Yeah.
You are authentically you. It's beautiful.
I don't have to pace the floor for 30 minutes about, like, who should I be for Tiffanie? Like, who do I have to be as a host?
Uh-huh.
It's or even just all of it, all of it.
Yeah.
It's just so easy when you just really step into who you are. And
Mhm.
you're so right about that. The minute I think people don't understand is, like, we could pray to God all day long, but if I don't take that first step, he can't present the opportunity. So it is
Yeah.
about having that faith over the fear. And I think fear's a big thing. And when we see other people, when you see other people clinging to certainty, even when they're miserable, if you could pinpoint one thing, what is the biggest fear that they have in common when they'd rather just be miserable?
Well, here's the thing that I think is, and I think it goes back to that risk factor of like the biggest fear is the unknown. But if we sit back for a second, I had a mentor that taught me the gift or excuse me, the practice of duality.
Yeah.
And what that is like when we're sitting in a moment like that where we are sitting in fear, think about like the very worst thing that can happen. And oftentimes when you're describing like that person that is just sitting in that rut of fear and that in my opinion is probably the worst thing that could happen is to sit in that forever. Now, I do think that there is a lot of value in sitting in the discomfort. You
Yes.
learn a lot in that. So I'm not saying run from that,
Mm-hmm.
but when you're going to make a decision from that, okay, what is the very worst thing that could happen if I take that risk that we're talking about, right? The very worst thing is I fall on my face and blah, blah, and live through that. Breathe through what that risk feels like. But what is the very best outcome that could happen if I take that?
Yeah.
And practicing that duality often puts into perspective this risk. If I could make this very best case scenario, that outweighs falling on my face and the worst that could happen
Yeah.
by far.
That's that question of just like, what's the worst that could happen? We get so stuck on the default mode network of, like, what if, what if, what if? And I'm like, yeah, what
Mhm.
if? Like, what is the
Mhm.
worst? I'm going through that with my kid today. Literally,
Yeah.
she has all-star tryouts tonight, and she is, like, way overthinking it. I'm like,
Yeah.
babe, honest to God, like, You show up and you do your best. What is the worst thing that happens? You don't make the team. And
Hmm.
what happens? Like, we go get ice cream. Best
Hmm.
thing that happens, you make the team. What happens? We go get ice cream. Like, it's
Yes.
cool. Either
Yeah.
way, like, you're safe, you're loved, we're good. You still have a whole week of
Yes.
softball games, no matter what. And you just know you did your best. That's a win. That's all I
Hmm.
want. Just do your best. And yeah,
Yeah.
we really had to talk her off the ledge a couple times today because I'm
Yeah.
like, it's not that serious.
Yeah.
I
And
don't
what's
really
so
sugarcoat
fascinating.
her. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's her whole world at this point.
Yes.
So that is so much easier for us to say, as we've lived our lives and everything.
Yeah.
But what's so interesting, and I love this about our mind, is,
Hmm.
when we're talking about sitting in fear and everything, own that, live that, like give
Yeah.
yourself space to feel that for sure. But what I love about how powerful our minds are is our brains cannot actually chemically process fear and gratitude at the same time.
Cannot.
It cannot. So if you're finding yourself in that space,
Hmm.
and I say this more for like the listeners, if you're finding yourself in that space of like, I'm in a fear hamster wheel and I've
Yeah.
been here for a long time, even if you have to lie to yourself for a minute and find something of gratitude or some sort of something that can pull your brain out of that hamster wheel, one sentence will stop that hamster wheel. And people don't understand how powerful that is, that our mind is capable of doing that. And that to me is like such a testament of like what God has gifted us with the power of our own, is to not be able to process that at the same time. What a gift. We actually have the power to turn that knob
Yeah.
off.
And it's fast. I love that you're speaking to the audience with that. And I think it's super important too when you're really in it. I know that like thinking something's incredible, but the thing that really moves the needle for me is if I write it down. Like if I'm
Mm,
really in it and it's just like putting the pen to paper, one sentence, like I am really grateful for
mhm,
whatever
mhm.
it is, I'm
Yeah.
alive.
Well, now you have a
Cool.
couple senses involved, right?
Yeah.
Because you're writing
Yeah.
it, you're reading it, you're thinking it. That is going to speed up the process so much
It
better.
really does. It's like a little life hack, y'all. So I gave you one of my secrets. How does Brandon not lose her shit? Well, she writes it down, okay? When I'm ready to go on, when I'm ready to mom out or whatever you want to call it, Hulk
Mhm.
out, it's the sentence. I'm going to go write a sentence.
Yeah.
Um you talk about creating infrastructure for life. Why do you think so many people build that success without building the support?
I think people get too caught up on like the end goal and getting there as fast as we can and overlooking the hurdles that are absolutely going to come in to play along the way. Now, I'm a very goal-oriented person. I love the end goal also, and I always have like visions ahead of me and everything. However, I understand so greatly the importance of building like I take that end goal and then reverse engineer it because I know that Tiffanie today is becoming who she needs to be to achieve said goal.
Yeah.
But I have some steps that I need to do to get there. And nothing is, I mean, I shouldn't say nothing, but there are very few things in our lives that are predictable, right?
Yeah.
And so being able to take what we can into control and put that infrastructure. So infrastructure, like for those listening also, is like it's a fancy way of habits, your mindset, like the
Yes.
daily practices that you have in place. But the more we can get those as like subconscious habits and we're not thinking about those, that is really where I help people get to because then when the hurdles come in, we're not having to go, well, shit, my habits are a mess. I need to stop
Yeah.
doing this. I need to start doing this. And we're trying to rewrite in the middle of the storm. That's the worst time to try and do it.
Right.
And so really it's like it's to withstand pressure. It's to make it so the blows aren't as bad.
Yeah. No, I love that. And I think, that's the whole point of us being willing to change, to do the
Hmm.
next scary thing is like, who do we want to be outside of that? Right? Like,
Hmm.
who am I doing this for? And my listeners already know I'm on the health journey. They're like, she's gonna talk about it. Yes, I'm gonna talk about it.
Yes.
Something so simple is like I keep my shoes in the same spot because I come downstairs, I put my shoes on, get to the treadmill, it's just automatic. Boom, boom,
Yep.
boom. If my shoes aren't there, y'all, it's like the end of the world. I'm like,
Yes.
oh shit, I don't know what to do right now. And I structure a lot of things in my day like that to where I know exactly, what the next move is, especially in
Hmm.
the morning, because that's like my me time, right? Like that's
Well,
going to calibrate the day.
yeah. And think about like all the decisions that you have to make throughout the day.
Yeah.
Why would you waste your decision making on which pair of socks you should grab to put those shoes on to get on the treadmill? Like,
Exactly.
that is not where your brain capacity needs to
No.
be, especially first thing in the morning.
And I've done it with food. I eat the same
Hmm.
shit. I don't have to think about it. I know
Yep.
exactly. I'm eating beef and rice every day. Beef and rice, and I don't have to think about it.
Yeah.
It's there's no decision. Well, I still have to feed the family, of course, but I
Yeah.
save the decision making for other things. So it's an incredible process, and this can work with any habit in your life.
Hmm.
Anything you want to do, anything you want to become. It is just literally, okay, if you were this person, what is one thing that person would be doing this morning? And then you just start there. And you
Yeah.
do it so many days in a row that you're not thinking about it.
Amen.
I love
And when
that.
you pull, like when you remove the friction, like you're talking about, like
Yeah.
take the 10 minutes the night before and set up your morning. If I don't set up my day tomorrow when today is wrapping up,
Yeah.
I will be an entirely different version of Tiffany in
Yes.
that type of a day because I'm reacting to my day at that point. I'm no longer in charge of my day first thing when I grow up. Oh, the
That
first thing when I
that
wake
too.
up.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
It
But
happens.
it is. It's to that point like remove all the friction you have on those things that have to happen, like your anchor habits that have to happen each day, remove the friction out. So, same
Yeah.
thing, like first thing when I wake up, I'm drinking my salt and my creatine. That's the
Yep.
first thing that goes in my body with my water before my coffee, before anything else. And my salt and my creatine and the glass, the empty glass, is sitting on my counter when I'm going to sleep the night before.
Yep.
Because then when I'm moseying down in the morning, I'm doing that and I'm not having to think
You're a
about it. It's just
robot. Yeah.
yes. Yeah. So then when I land in front of something that needs my high attention and I need like high capacity on, I'm there sharp and I'm not like 18 decisions in that didn't matter that day.
Exactly. I love that. I mean, that's how I can host like 5 or 6 interviews every
Hmm.
day because
Hmm.
I take care of my morning and I, set myself up to not have to make decisions. So I have to be on for every single person. It's very important. Like I want you to come here and I want you to feel heard. I want your story
Yeah.
shared. And I can't do that if I'm not present and I'm not fully available for you guys, right? So
Yeah.
I'm not going to McDonald's and getting a bunch of breakfast sandwiches and mowing down on them before I come and sit on this podcast because I would
Mhm.
never, you know, all of this stuff matters. Like, how can I be the best host? Well,
Yeah.
it's going to matter what I eat today. It's going to matter if I move my body. It's going to matter if I read the Bible. All of that matters. And I think,
Yeah.
it's just those simple little things. We're
Yep.
not nobody has to blow up their life right now. It's just like let's do the next scary thing. Like what
Yeah.
would scare you to do today? Like do that, you
Yeah.
know?
And what's so amazing about what you just described is like when you just asked the question, like, what's the next scary thing today? And let's do that. Because you had followed through on the 6 things that you just said before
Yeah.
that, your self-trust is freaking rocking.
Yeah.
But if I'm someone that is hitting my snooze button, I'm moseying out, I'm staring at my clothes for 20 minutes, I'm wasting time, like I am knocking my self-trust down over
Yeah.
and over and over. And it all goes back to that part of like, if I'm wanting to take risk and those are the things I'm risking,
Mhm.
then that's exactly where I want you to start. If that's the hard place for you, then that's where you need to turn that lens inward and start right there until you are ready to like those habits feel good, they feel sound. I know that if I'm committing to something, I'm following through on it. Now we can take the risks and it
Yeah.
builds on that, and people don't realize how important those little tiny things that you are self-fulfilling, how important those are.
It's the biggest part of everything.
Oh
It's
yeah.
it's not the big, you know, diploma at the end of everything. It's
Mm-mm.
not the raise, it's not all the things. It's like so much of the little stuff, and I think so many people too think that's a huge issue. They're just waiting for the big result. And
Hmm.
they're not really in that present moment. They're not thinking about those little habits. And then once they attain that big result, they kind of collapse, just like we're talking about your infrastructure. You've got to have
Hmm.
these habits because once you hit success, you're going to feel empty, you're going to crumble, none of it's
Yep.
going to feel good, and you're going to feel like the biggest fraud that ever walked the face of the earth. And I know that because I was there.
Hmm.
I know what that felt like.
Yeah.
But it
Same.
took me falling on my face to know like the infrastructure matters. It really
Oh
does
yeah.
matter.
Yeah. And it did. I feel that so much. Like there, had fallen on my face over and over and repeatedly
Yeah.
fallen for the same things. And I was like,
Yes.
oh my gosh, why am I doing this again?
Groundhog
You know,
Day.
and it did, it took me like pausing and being like, okay,
Yeah.
let's deep dive into this. Like, what is causing me to repeat this? And my favorite thing to talk to God and like ask him is like, what do I need to learn right now?
Yeah.
What is it right now? And when
Mm-hmm.
we stop to do that, that is where those pattern breaks happen, and that is where that growth happens, you know, and it that then let me reshape my failures into, oh, those were strengths. Those are
Yeah.
superpowers that I got to take and learn from, and
Yeah.
now I can help others do the same.
Yeah. I love that. We're just having a conversation about how, we want this human experience. We want the growth, right? Like, I'm going to pray for patience. And guess what's going to happen the very next day? The world's going to blow up on me so I can flex that patience, right? It's not like there's no magic wand to be like, oh, we're just going to give you discipline. No, if I
Yeah.
say I want to be disciplined,
Hmm.
pray for discipline. Like, God, help me with this discipline. He's going to show me
Hmm.
every roadblock that's going to try to deter me from that discipline. And I have to get that grit
Yeah.
and push through it
Oh,
anyways.
yeah.
So it's just, it's a great conversation about, it sticking with it, right? Just do the damn things. Do the damn
Yes.
things, and life is going to help grow and stretch us. Whatever we ask for, we're going to get it.
Yeah.
Whether no
Yeah.
matter how that looks.
And I love the lesson that like when we're asking for that and when we're praying for that,
Mhm.
to keep in mind like it's not going to go your way. It's not hardly ever going to go
Ever.
your way.
Yeah.
But if you're truly like sitting in that space of like, okay, what do I need to learn here?
Mhm.
Then you get to learn those valuable lessons of like,
Yep.
okay, just like you said, like I've prayed for discipline. This is what I've prayed for. And
Yep.
I really love that of doing some reflecting too. That's my favorite thing to do around like my birthday every year
Yeah.
is to reflect on the last year previous to that and like open my journal. What was I writing about this time
Yeah.
last year? What was I praying for? And oftentimes, as cliche as it is, or, you know, like we all read it all the time, but like
Yep.
my problems today are what I prayed for because
Exactly.
I am growing towards that. That's a core value of my family's is
Yeah.
progression always. And that does not mean perfection. We never strive for perfection.
No.
That's not what we want. We want progression
Yeah.
and lessons.
I People just don't understand this is it's this all or nothing mentality, right? It's
Oh,
all
I
or
hate
nothing.
it.
So it's so fucking hard for people to understand, like, just 1%. You do
Mhm.
one thing today. Like, maybe you're not going to lift heavy weights or knock out 3 miles in the morning on the treadmill. Like, do a just go for a 10-minute walk.
Yeah,
You go
100%.
from no walking at all to taking 10 minutes of your day to go walk. You do that for 365 days.
Yeah, can you
You're
imagine?
you're a different person outside of that.
Uh,
Now, you could sit there and cry about who would you be if you did 3 miles, lifted heavy weights. You could cry about that, but that's not going to get you anywhere. Instead, like, just move what you can move. And I
mhm.
feel like once you start, when you open that door, God says go first. That 10 minutes is going to turn into 20 minutes, is going to turn into 30 minutes. And you're going to start feeling better. You're going to start choosing better food. And you're going to be like, shit, maybe I should, check out some weights. Like, maybe I should
Yeah.
just, and it just evolves. It's a beautiful evolution, but we don't, it's one bite at a time, right? Like,
Yep.
how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. It's the same thing for how you do the things. The same thing in business.
Yeah.
I'm like, just do one little thing. What, even for myself, I have days where I'm like 100%, and I have days where I barely get the email done. I'm like,
Hmm.
send. Like, what's the,
Yes, I
I
did
walk in,
it.
yes, I walk in here and I'm like, oh, what is the least amount of stuff I could do where I could say I still did the damn thing, do it, and get the hell out of here.
Oh, yeah. I love the
Move the
concept of
needle.
something over nothing
Yes.
because without fail, something is going to come in and it's going to kick a habit that you've been on a streak of for 7 days or however long it has been. The time will come.
Yeah.
And so, how have you prepared to curb that?
Yep.
And it's like, okay, that's okay. Tomorrow's a new day. And what can I do today to have the something over nothing concept? I love that. And I work hard with people on that because people get too hung up on like, oh, I've been going for this and this and this, and then I fell off and now I haven't gone for a
Oh
week. And I'm like,
gosh,
no.
yes. Everybody does that. I
Oh yeah.
did that forever. And
Uh-huh.
that's where I just took out, like, where I did the whole evaluation where I'm like, you know what? No more decisions. You're
Hmm.
going to eat the same stuff, and then there's not an issue. When I
Yep.
know I'm eating the same stuff, Monday through Saturday, we have family day Sunday. I don't care if I eat
Hmm.
shit food. Like,
Yeah.
I go right back to my schedule Monday cuz it's not
Yep.
even a decision. It's already cooked, it's done. Same thing with the shoes. It's where they need to be. Just little things, if you could line them up, that's
Hmm.
part of that foundation of, like, you're going to move the needle without just freaking out that everything happens, and
Yeah.
then when you do fall off, it's not the end of the world.
Totally.
I didn't get my workout in today. It's not the end of the world. I'm like, man, I'll get something. I'll
Yeah.
get something.
Yes.
It's not the end of the world. And if I don't get something, I get to try again tomorrow. That's so
Yeah.
exciting to me. Like I
Yeah.
could do this.
Totally.
But yeah, it's unfortunate to see people stay stuck in that place. What do you think? What is something that you recognize in working with people that they're kind of waiting for permission to do, but they really don't need the permission?
In the concept of any type of change, exactly what you just said, understanding the concept of like nobody's coming to do it for me.
Yeah,
I'm the only one that's going to move that needle. The sooner people realize that, the sooner they can start taking action. And again, I think that we let too many outside factors play into that, you know? So if it is like, okay, I know that I'm the only one, but what is so and so going to think of me? Or, is this going to cause disruption in fill in the blank? Like there's
yeah,
I think it's the outside factors of like not like keep that laser focus and understand why are we doing whatever it is that we're ready to start or stop
right.
or whatever it is, but when people understand that it is like nobody's coming to do it for me and this is my life and the sooner you get to take charge on that and with that I think that there are three places that you get to look on that you get to look at that as in your skill set, in your mindset, and in your body. When I talk about like your body and your mind, like we're talking about your spiritual relationship. Like there's so many things that we just need to turn inward, and I think that when people are in that stall out, that's a good chance to pause and be like, okay, what am I not trusting right now with myself? Why am I not being the one to start it? Why am I not being the one to initiate this? There's something that I'm second guessing within my own self or skill set, or what do I have? And then we've got the question of like, am I actually not equipped to do this? Do I need to go to outside sources, or am I just nervous? Am I
Yeah.
scared? And I tell my 4-year-old, like, you can be nervous and brave at the same time.
Oh yeah.
That is so okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then he does whatever crazy thing he's going to do next.
Yeah. No, that is a great conversation. That's part of the same conversation having with my kid. She's so nervous. I'm like, that's cool. It is going to be kind of scary. It's a little intimidating, but you're going to be brave. You're going to do your best, and we're going to be done. Hour of
Yeah.
your life today. Hour of your
Yeah.
life today. What did I want to sidestep a little bit? I know we're kind of going over the time, but I want to highlight this a little. You had a breast cancer experience.
I did.
What did that teach you about really advocating for yourself?
The first thing it taught me was the importance of preparation, like what we're talking about, and having all of my daily habits, my daily decisions, they were so dialed in. And at the time, I had those dialed in respect and reverence to all of the roles that I was also holding. Like you, my plate is so full every
Yeah,
single day. I'm doing a
love it.
thousand trillion things at once.
Hmm.
And because of that, I have to be dialed in. And at the time, I was like, this is what it's serving me. And this was part of the message to me that God was like, hey, life is going to be changing. And like, there's some big things coming at you. I didn't know it was coming in the form of breast cancer diagnosis. But what it taught me in that moment is I had the chance to sit and like soak in when I finally got my diagnosis. It didn't hit me like a freight train because I had already done all of these things to prepare that I got to sit there and say, I'm spiritually the strongest I've ever been in my life. I'm physically the strongest. I'm mentally the strongest. I had put in the work to be prepared for whatever was coming, that it allowed me to stay in a positive mindset rather than work toward a positive mindset. And with all of the different pillars of health, that really is like and so it without a doubt solidified the importance of preparation,
Yeah.
because again, like, we don't get to control what's coming our way,
No.
but we do get to control how well we'll be prepared in
Yeah.
any aspect, business,
Yeah.
personal, whatever it is. You get the choice to be prepared or not. And that was a big, big lesson for me. Um, and then that in combination with, I had spent years of those small wins that we're talking about, like
Yeah.
showing up for myself, making my daily habits a second nature rather than like, something that I had to rewrite every day.
Hmm.
I had done all these things that my self trust was solid at that point. So then to have someone else say, like, hey, you're okay, because that was part of my journey is for a full year. I had providers being like, come back in 6 months, you're going to be fine. And I knew inside because I made space for that voice to talk to me
Yeah.
and to listen to it and not shut it down. I get a I got to say, okay, it's not fine. I'm not fine. And I know it because I know my body best. And because I had shown up for myself, I then had the voice to, so it was a combination of a lot of years of hard work. And again, being prepared to then use it.
Yeah. I love that. And I think, just even highlighting in this little sidestep of our conversation here about how important mindset is when it comes to your health
Ah,
too. Because how many
yeah.
people get a cancer diagnosis and they're dead in 3 weeks,
Yeah.
4 weeks,
Oh, I believe
because
that so heavily.
it's wild to me. And then the people that you see like laughing, smiling, like going on with their life, choosing, continuing the health journey, whatever that looks like. But I mean, those people are in remission soon.
Yeah.
Like it's mindset is everything, and it's
Yeah.
unfortunate because you can't force it on people. You just, you know, it's. I've seen too much of the other side of the
Hmm.
mindset winning
It's
of
the
just
thing I wish that I really could just like implant into people's
yes,
minds, of like, hey, just feel this for because it takes one feeling
yep,
and then you can't go back. It is like that scene in Inception, the movie, when
yeah,
she goes under for the dream for the first time and she wakes up and rips it all off and she runs out and Leonardo DiCaprio's partner was like, "Are you going to go after her?" And he was like, "Mm-mm, because once you taste that, you never go back." And she
yeah,
came right back. It's the same. Personal development is the same thing, and I use that example all the time because it hit me so hard when I saw that. I was like, that is personal development. And it's
yeah,
true because once you feel that change within yourself,
mm-hmm.
you can't go back to an ordinary something or to like something that was no longer serving you.
Yeah,
It's a really special gift. But it is, I really believe in that power of mindset, like you're talking about, because we do have the choice of
mm-hmm.
thoughts are going to come into our mind, but then you get to choose what you're going to entertain with it.
Yeah,
You get to choose that narrative. And as woo woo as that may sound to some people, you do get to be the director of that. And that is the most powerful part of your ship that
mm-hmm.
you can lead is directing it into a positive light, into what
Yeah,
you want that to be. And you really do have the power of doing that. Even if you're like by nature a negative person,
yeah,
you can change that, but it is a
yeah,
choice and it's a conscious choice you get to make every single day.
yeah,
But for me, that choice ended in I didn't have to get any treatment. I didn't have to like I went through my double mastectomy. I got we got rid of the cancer part of that,
yeah.
but I will absolutely sit here with surety and tell you like between my relationship with God and my mindset, I know without a doubt that that was a huge component in my healing
Yeah.
success.
I love that. I love that. I think that, isn't talked about enough. The people that really just lock into their mindset and to having that faith, I don't think they
Mhm.
share their stories enough. At least I haven't heard it, right? Like I've not
Yeah.
heard so many people talking about this, but I've seen it. I've seen it.
Hmm.
And I think it's amazing. And I think there's a huge difference from, it's not even just a diagnosis. I mean, it's genuinely just, you could tell the people that are enjoying life and that have the good mindset and the people that are just chronic victims. And
Yes.
I feel like, man, what a waste. Like chronic
Yeah.
victim, like just come to our side for 1 second. Like
Yes.
just 5 minutes, just sit in like the joy and the peace and like yeah, sometimes I wish I could package up everything I feel and just like hand it to people for a second and be like, this is worth it. Like this
Yeah,
feeling took a lot to get here, got knocked down a lot for this, had to fight a lot for this. I'm still in the arena for this, but like man, it's
absolutely.
worth it.
Hmm.
It's so worth it.
Hmm.
But yes, we definitely went over on our time. I'm going to say, what would you say to someone that's listening right now who, they know they're meant for more and they are frozen? They're frozen in the fear.
Well, I'm going to give them your advice and I'm going to say find something that you're grateful for. And you do know how to get out of it. You do know, but the nerves are taking over. And so, like, let yourself snap into, even if it is something that you like, put on a different pair of lens to see it just a little different for a minute. And if you can find the space to find something you're grateful for, step into the mindset of abundance rather than scarcity, it will change. It will
Yeah.
snap you out of that hamster wheel.
I love that. How can people get resourced with you?
I am over on Instagram and LinkedIn is probably the two most like places I'm over on the most. Instagram's where I am pretty heavily. So come over, connect. I'd love to support you.
Perfect. Tiffanie, this is the part of the show where I get to tell you what makes you special, what I think makes you special, for whatever that's worth. Please, nobody ever give a shit what I think, okay? But it's not just that you've survived hard things, right? Because a lot of people survive. It's very cool. Congratulations, all of that. It's that you've been willing to tell yourself the truth about stuff that wasn't working for you, the truth about who you're meant to become, the truth about the stuff in your life that needed to end, the truth about what identities, need to be let go of and what truth you're going to be walking into. You're not just teaching resilience here. You're teaching people how to trust themselves enough to choose differently, to be radically honest with themselves, to stop settling, to stop outsourcing their lives, and to stop waiting. I think that the work that you're doing and the influence that you have is incredibly powerful. Your voice is amazing for this message. To everyone listening, pay attention to what you're tolerating, because sometimes the thing that's exhausting you most isn't the challenge. It's the misalignment. It's all the pretending. It's the staying. It's knowing something has to change and talking yourself out of it every single day. God did not create you to live half alive. He created you to grow and to lead and to evolve and to really just genuinely become. So I want you to be honest with yourself, radically honest with yourself. And please remember that your message, your message. Even in all the reinvention, even in the scary moments where life forces you to really look at yourself, even the moments you're forced to start over, those things may be preparing you for the most aligned chapter that you will ever live. If this
Hmm.
episode spoke to you, please share Tiffany's story out. Okay, there's someone that needs to hear this that we don't have access to. Very selfless act just to share it. Make sure you check her out on Instagram. And if you guys are ready for the hot seat, I dare you to come tell me why you're special. Tiffanie, thanks so much for the hot seat. What a great conversation. You served my audience well. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you. Thanks, Brandon. Appreciate you.